My name is Celeste Marin Darren. I'm 28 years old, and up until a few days ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I'm a senior editor at Meridian Publishing in Washington, D.C., the kind of place where coffee is strong, deadlines are brutal, and your worth is measured by your words. And I loved it, because words never lied to me. I was always the responsible daughter, the honor roll student, the one who color-coded her notebooks in middle school and created 5-year plans in high school. I didn't rebel. I didn't experiment. I did everything right because I thought that's what kept you safe. I grew up in a deeply religious home. My father, Pastor William Darren, has led St. Michael's Church for nearly 30 years. He taught me that family is sacred, that truth matters, that love, real love, is patient, kind, and honorable. And then there was Nathaniel. Nathaniel Reed wasn't just the man I loved, he was the man everyone else loved too. A brilliant lawyer, a charming conversationalist, polished, respectful, tall, blue-eyed, and seemingly incapable of wrongdoing. He was the son of Judge Harrison Reed and philanthropist Victoria Reed, a family so well known in our community that marrying into them felt like stepping into a legacy. He proposed to me at the Kennedy Center, right in the middle of intermission during Swan Lake, my favorite ballet, in front of a crowd, in front of my parents, in front of my childhood dreams. And I said yes, because why wouldn't I? We were the golden couple, the ones who looked perfect in Christmas cards, the ones people talked about in church halls whispering, "She's so lucky." But luck is a tricky thing. Sometimes it isn't luck at all. Sometimes it's a beautifully wrapped warning you don't open until it's too late. I thought I knew my story, until one journal, one coffee mug, one locked bedroom door rewrote everything. From the outside, we were the kind of family people envied. Sunday church, matching Christmas sweaters, family photos where everyone smiled just a little too hard. My mother, Diana Darren, was a force. She had perfect posture, perfect hair, and a voice like silk wrapped in steel. She was the woman who ran church fundraisers with military precision and judged your outfit while complimenting your shoes. And she was obsessed with my wedding. From the day Nathaniel proposed, she transformed into a full-time wedding planner. Every call, every visit, every conversation suddenly revolved around seating charts, floral themes, and cake tastings. She ordered swatches, subscribed to bridal magazines she'd already read years ago. She even hand-wrote schedules for my dress fittings and double-checked them herself. "This is every mother's dream," she'd say, her eyes gleaming. Except it wasn't about my dream, it was about hers. My father, Pastor William Darren, was gentler, more grounded. He loved his Bible, his garden, and his church. He spoke softly, but carried authority, the kind that made people confess secrets they hadn't planned to share. To him, marriage was sacred. He had no idea what was brewing beneath our roof. Together, my parents were respected, admired. They looked like the kind of couple who hosted marriage retreats and renewed vows on anniversaries. And maybe once they were. But lately, something felt wrong. Too perfect, too polished, like a portrait painted to hide a crack underneath the frame. I didn't know it then, but the dream wedding my mother was planning wasn't about celebrating love. It was about disguising betrayal. At first, it was nothing. A small shift, a funny feeling, the kind you brush off because doubting people you love feels like betrayal in itself. My mother became intense, more than excited, more than involved. She started vetoing my choices. Wildflowers, too messy. String quartet, not dramatic enough. Even my vows, she wanted traditional ones. "They're timeless, darling," she smiled. "We don't want anything too personal." It was my wedding. But somehow, it started to feel like her stage production. Meanwhile, Nathaniel started pulling away. He said work was hectic, clients demanding, late meetings, business trips, always just on the edge of believable. Our Thursday night dinners canceled. Text replies slower. The way he kissed me, different, colder, mechanical, like checking a box instead of meaning it. One evening, I stopped by my parents' house unannounced, my arms full of RSVP cards, my laptop bag over my shoulder. The kitchen was quiet, too quiet. I called out, "Mom?" She appeared startled, washing dishes that were already clean, flushed cheeks, messy hair, a coffee mug on the counter, fine china we never used except for guests. "Just needed a caffeine boost," she said quickly, but her hands trembled as she dried them. The smell in the kitchen was wrong. Not vanilla candles, but something sharper, a cologne I didn't recognize. That night, Nathaniel texted, working late, "See you tomorrow." And I noticed my mother relaxed, her shoulders dropped, her breathing slowed. I didn't say anything. I couldn't, because if I spoke it aloud, I'd have to face it, and I wasn't ready, not yet. It started with a phone call, just like any other. My mother's voice on the line, cheerful, composed. "Sweetheart, can you do me a quick favor?" "Sure, what's up?" "I left a manila envelope in the passenger seat of my car. It's got the updated wedding programs inside. I'm meeting Mrs. Chin from the flower committee and I don't want to be late. Can you swing by and grab it for me?" I didn't even hesitate. "Of course," I said, because that's what daughters do, right? We help our mothers. We don't question small requests. The drive to my parents' house took less than 20 minutes. It was a bright, ordinary afternoon, the kind of day you forget until it becomes the moment your life splits in half. The gate was open. The Mercedes was parked in its usual spot, sleek and spotless. Unlocked, I opened the passenger door. There it was, an envelope, just like she said, but there was something else wedged between the seat cushions. Something small, something black, something that had my name written on it. My fingers trembled as I pulled it out. A leather journal. I remember thinking, why would my mother write my name on a journal? And then I opened it. One page in, and I felt the blood drain from my face. By page 3, I stopped breathing. By page 7, I knew everything had changed. It had my name on the cover. Not just a scribble, not an old label. Handwritten, deliberate. Celeste. The leather was soft, worn, familiar, like something she'd held a lot. I opened it, not because I was ready, but because I couldn't not. The first line stopped my breath. "Nathaniel is everything I should have married." I froze. My mother's handwriting was so neat, so careful, like the truth had to be dressed in its Sunday best. I kept reading. "He looks at me the way William used to back when we were young, when desire was enough, when I felt seen. When Nathaniel compliments my dress or my cooking, I remember what it feels like to be wanted." Page after page, she unraveled the story of their affair, the flirtation, the justifications, the timing. "We kissed today. God help me, I kissed him back. We made love in his apartment while Celeste was at book club." My hands shook. I couldn't breathe. And still, I turned the page. She wrote about the thrill, the guilt, and worst of all, the plan. "After the wedding, we'll be more discreet, but we've come too far to stop now. He says his heart belongs to me, that marrying Celeste is just what's expected." I sat in the driver's seat of my mother's car with my name on a journal that killed my future. And I realized they weren't just betraying me. They were building their happiness on top of my grave. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not right away. There was no dramatic breakdown. No shattered sobbing on the steering wheel. No trembling hands flinging the journal across the dashboard. Just silence. A thick, suffocating kind. Like the world had paused just long enough for me to hear the sound of something breaking deep inside me. Me. My chest hurt. Not the sharp, sudden kind, but the dull, collapsing ache of trust dissolving into ash. I sat there for what felt like hours, my fingers still wrapped around that cursed journal, my breath shallow, my vision blurry. And slowly, very slowly, the shock calcified into something harder. Not rage, not yet. Clarity. The old Celeste, the one who believed love was sacred and mothers protected daughters, she died that afternoon in the passenger seat of a Mercedes. The woman who stepped out of that car, she wasn't broken. She was being rebuilt. No more pretending. No more hoping it wasn't true. No more swallowing pain just to keep the peace. I didn't text Nathaniel. I didn't call my mother. I didn't go home. I went to war. And the first thing I packed was the truth. I didn't go home that night. Not to Nathaniel, not to my parents' house, not even to my apartment. I drove straight to the Willard Intercontinental. And at the front desk, I used a name I hadn't spoken in years. Elena Grace. My middle name, my childhood pen name. The version of me that wrote stories in secret. Now she was back, writing a new one filled with truth and consequences. I paid in cash, no credit card trail, no paper trail. The room was beautiful. King-sized bed, marble bathroom, a view of the city that had just betrayed me. I took off the dress shirt I'd worn all day and sat on the edge of the bed, then spread the evidence across the comforter like a crime scene investigator. Her journal, receipts, photos, his credit card charges, the lipstick on the wine glass in his apartment, the coffee mug in my mother's kitchen, the scent of cologne that didn't belong. My phone buzzed with a text from Nathaniel. Thinking of you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I didn't reply. Then a message from Mom. Don't forget to finalize the seating chart, sweetheart. Love you. I stared at those two texts for a long time, and I realized they still thought I was in the dark. Good. Let them stay blind. The darker they were, the brighter the truth would burn. It was 1:12 a.m. I hadn't slept, didn't plan to. The city below glittered like nothing was wrong. But up in room 1812, I was drafting my own version of justice. I picked up the hotel landline. No caller ID, no trace. First call Rachel, my assistant. Loyal, sharp, discreet. She once memorized 3 weeks of editorial changes without writing anything down. She was perfect. Hey, she answered groggy. Rachel, I need the full guest list for Saturday. Updated, categorized by table with notes on any VIPs or donors. Can you get it to me before noon? A pause. Is something wrong, Celeste? Not yet, but it will be. Click. Second call Tasha, my college roommate. Now a rising star at The Observer. Investigative journalism. She'd won awards for exposing corporate fraud. Tasha, I need a favor. You sound like you're about to blow something up. I didn't laugh. I need a videographer, professional, discreet, hidden mic, full coverage. I want every second of my wedding captured from 3 angles unfiltered. Can you arrange that? Tasha paused, then said, You want me to treat your wedding like a political takedown? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Okay, she said, you'll have your cameras and your smoke. Click. I stood by the window, looking down at the city that had no idea what storm was coming. War doesn't always start with gunshots. Sometimes it begins with a guest list and a camera. The fitting room smelled with jasmine and silk. The wedding dress was flawless, hand-stitched ivory satin French lace. It should have made me feel like a princess. Instead, I felt like a weapon wearing white. The boutique owner smiled. You look radiant, Celeste. I did, but not in the way she thought. My reflection stared back at me, sharp, composed, but something behind the eyes had changed. The girl who once cried when her mom said she was proud of her, gone. The fiancé who once blushed when Nathaniel held her hand, she died with the first page of that journal. Now, standing in front of the mirror, all I saw was a woman holding fire behind her ribs. And on Saturday, I wasn't going to walk down that aisle to say I do. I was going to burn the entire illusion down in full view of 200 guests, because betrayal in private wasn't enough. They didn't deserve quiet. They deserved exposure. If they wanted a perfect wedding, I'd give them a ceremony they'd never forget. The music began. Soft strings, angelic harmonies. Everyone rose to their feet. All eyes turned. All gasped. There I was, veiled in white, graceful, controlled. A picture of the perfect bride. My father offered his arm. He was trembling. I wasn't. Each step down the aisle felt surgical, precise, quiet. Not a flutter in my chest, not a tear in my eye. My mother stood near the altar, tears streaming down her face. She thought they were beautiful. I knew they were fake. Nathaniel stood at the end of the aisle, smiling like a man seconds away from his dream. He mouthed, "You look breathtaking." I didn't respond. The audience clapped. A soft wave of admiration. If only they knew. They weren't attending a wedding. They were about to witness an execution. Do you, Celeste Marie Langford, take Nathaniel James Prescott to be your lawfully wedded husband? The priest smiled. Everyone leaned in. I took the mic, held it with 2 hands. Actually, my voice echoed across the stained glass silence. I have something to say. My mother shifted. Nathaniel's smile wavered. Whispers rippled across the pews. 3 months ago, my fiancé started sleeping with someone close to me, very close. Diana's face drained of color. Nathaniel turned to me. Celeste? Don't interrupt. I opened the black notebook. The audience gasped. October 12. He kissed me like he was afraid to stop. October 20. We were at his apartment. He said she doesn't excite him anymore. November 5. He told me he wished he met me first. November 23. He said we should stop. We didn't. December 3. One last night before he marries her. This is my mother's handwriting. These are her words. This is her betrayal. Diana stood up. That's enough. My father stone-faced. Diana, sit down. Nathaniel took a step forward. Everyone, this isn't what it looks like. I turned to him and smiled. You're right. It's worse. I handed the microphone back to the priest. His hand trembled. Mine didn't. I turned and walked, step by step, down the same aisle that once promised forever. Now it delivered my freedom. My veil trailed behind like smoke. The hem of my gown moved like flame. I didn't cry. I didn't run. I walked like I owned the place, like I had just survived the storm, like no one else in that room had the right to look away. I passed the rows of guests, some agape, some hands over their chests, phones already recording. My mother sat frozen. Nathaniel was pale and sweating. Outside the church, doors opened like heaven splitting, and I stepped into sunlight. Silence. And then a single clap. Then another. Then the room exploded. Cheers, whistles, gasps. Not for the wedding, but for the woman who refused to be buried in a lie. Within minutes, the video was everywhere. On phones, on laptops, on every social feed you could imagine. Headlines screamed, "Bride exposes mother and fiancé at the altar. Wedding day betrayal goes viral." Scandal rocks prestigious DC families. Thousands shared, liked, and commented. People couldn't stop watching. It was raw, it was real, and it was relentless. News outlets jumped on the story. Local stations, national networks, and even international media. The hashtags trended wedding betrayal, bride walks out, truth at the altar. Celeste's story became a symbol of courage, truth, and the refusal to be silenced. Nathaniel's world crumbled overnight. The prestigious law firm where he built his career announced an indefinite leave. No excuses, no second chances. His father, Judge Harrison Reed, disowned him publicly. The man who once believed his son was untouchable now avoided eye contact. Diana Darren faced a swift social exile. Board memberships on charity organizations revoked. Lunch invitations vanished. Phone calls stopped. The perfect pastor's wife became a pariah overnight. My father, Pastor William Darren, bore the weight silently. He filed for divorce, resigned his position at St. Michael's Church, and moved to Vermont to rebuild a life shattered by betrayal. The family that once seemed untouchable was broken beyond repair. The cityscape of New York welcomed me like a blank page. Tall buildings, rushing crowds, endless possibilities. I packed what little remained of my old life and left everything else behind. I didn't talk about what happened. Not yet. The scars were too fresh, the pain too raw. But I survived, silently, day by day. I started a new job at a prestigious publishing house. The work was challenging. The salary was good. But most importantly, I was anonymous. No whispers, no pity. Just me and the books. Every manuscript I edited reminded me stories of resilience, stories of survival, stories of women who chose themselves. Slowly, I stitched my heart back together, piece by piece. And with every step forward, I became stronger, wiser, and ready. A year after the storm, I stood before a crowd of hundreds at the National Women's Literature Conference in New York City. My nameplate read, Celeste Darren, Keynote Speaker. I told them my story, not the headlines or the scandal, but the truth behind the tears and silence. Sometimes, I said, choosing yourself means letting go of the world you thought you knew. It means walking away from what was comfortable to find what's real. Faces nodded, eyes glistened, phones recorded every word. I spoke about betrayal, about pain, but most of all about rebirth, about the power in telling your truth, about the strength in standing alone, about the freedom that comes when you refuse to be silenced. That day, I wasn't just a survivor, I was a beacon, a voice for those still trapped in their own silence. One afternoon, a delivery arrived at my door, a massive bouquet of wildflowers, the kind I had dreamed of for my wedding. Simple, untamed, beautiful in their imperfection. Attached was a card. No name, no return address, just a few words. For choosing yourself, from someone who understands. I held the card like a lifeline. Tears welled up, not from pain this time, but from a quiet, growing hope. Those wildflowers filled my kitchen with color and light, a reminder that life, even after the darkest storms, can bloom anew. It wasn't just a bouquet, it was a message that I was not alone, that healing was possible, that choosing myself was worth everything. I am no longer a victim. I don't want pity, I don't need sympathy. I am the woman who chose truth over comfort, who stood alone when everyone else turned away, who rebuilt herself from the ashes of betrayal. It wasn't easy, the price was high, a lifetime of scars and silence. But I am free, not because they set me free, but because I claimed my own freedom to live honestly, to love fiercely, to never let anyone write my story but me. This is my truth, and I will carry it with pride for all my days. Sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is walk away from a perfect lie and choose her imperfect truth. If you've ever been betrayed by the ones closest to you, this story is your reminder. You are not alone, and you are not powerless. Life will sometimes hand you betrayals that cut deeper than you ever imagined. But the real power lies not in avoiding pain, but in choosing to stand up, speak your truth, and reclaim your dignity, even when the world expects silence. This story teaches us that protecting your own heart and honoring your truth is the bravest, most liberating choice you can make. Remember, you don't owe anyone your silence or your suffering. Your peace and self-worth come first. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you feel less alone, please hit that subscribe button and join the Athena Stories family. Here, we share powerful tales of courage, truth, and the strength of the human spirit. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Stay strong, stay true, stay with us.